Hi, today we are looking at section 4.4, which is solving problems with obtuse triangles. So with this section, we're essentially just getting word problems and we're applying what we've learned so far in the course. So, like I mentioned, we'll be using everything we've learned so far to solve word problems. So, for example, plane is flying 1,802 meters above the ground. From the plane, the edges of the river are seen at angles of depression of 65 degrees and 50 degrees. How wide is the river? Okay, so we essentially have a plane that is somewhere up here. Just going to draw in a horizontal line off of that because we're going to measure angles of depression off of that. So we see one edge of the river at an angle of depression of 50 degrees. And we see the other edge of the river at an angle of 65 degrees. And essentially, this is our river here. We want to know how wide that is. Now, some stuff we also know. I'll put in another dashed line. We assume this is horizontal. We can use what we learned in earlier chapters. So this big angle here is alternate interior with this angle here. So this would be 65 degrees here. Now this smaller angle here is alternate interior with this angle of 50 here. Now to figure out this angle here, we can always go 180 minus 50, or sorry, minus 65. And that gives us 115 degrees. And we can go 65 minus 15, or sorry, minus 50 to get 15 degrees for this angle up here. So we have all three sides of this, or sorry, all three angles of this triangle, but we have no sides. So we need to figure out a side to get this. So one thing that's going to help us is this height that we have of 1,802 meters. So we only have one angle of this triangle. So if this is our angle, this would be our opposite side. And we want to get this hypotenuse. That way we've got one side of this triangle. So we have sine of our angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. We want to get hypotenuse out of our denominator. So we'll multiply both sides by the hypotenuse. So that gives us our hypotenuse times sine of our angle gives us our opposite side. Divide both sides by sine of our angle. So our hypotenuse is equal to our opposite divided by sine of our angle. So in this case, our opposite is 1,802 meters divided by sine of 65. And that gives us 1,988 meters. So label that. We now have one side of this triangle, so we can use sine law. So let's just call this side that we're solving for side A, which would make this angle A. We have this side here, which we'll call B, which means that this will be angle B. So we have A over sine of A equals B over sine of B. We want to get A on its own, so we'll multiply both sides by sine of A. So that gives us A is equal to B sine of A over sine of B. So we'll substitute our values in. So we've got A equals side length B, which is 1,988. Sine of 15 divided by sine of B, which is 50. And that will give us 672 meters. So if a river is 672 meters wide. So, like I mentioned, we're just taking word problems, drawing out triangles, and then solving them using the skills that we've learned earlier in this chapter.